Shana Tova, everybody.
Shana Tova.
A happy, healthy, prosperous, and meaningful New Year 5,784 to all of you. And oh yeah, Shabbat Shalom on top of it. If we look a little bit different tonight for those of you joining us on the broadcast, it is because we are once again outside the building on what is an absolutely magnificent evening right at sundown here in Bowie, Maryland. I am Rabbi Steve Wiseman. This is Rosh Hashanah Under the Stars with Temple Solel. We got a lot of people up here on the bima.
Sorry.
Was that me or you by turning?
That was you.
Okay, I won't turn that way again.
Turning.
That's the beauty. It's a new year. We get to start the learning curve all over again. Our opening hymn tonight, as we begin a little bit more informally to fit our surroundings than we normally would on Rosh Hashanah. You're on holy ground, and we are.
Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you praise. All of life is holy ground. Every he, every she, every what, every who, it's in her, it's in them, it's in me, it's in you, in the bitter, in the sweet, in the calm, in the storm. All of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a holy sound. We take our shoes off, we're on holy ground. When you hurt, when you heal, when you laugh, when you pray, when you hold, when you keep, when you give it away, every second, every minute, every hour, every day, all of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a holy sound. We take our shoes off, we're on holy ground. We are one people, one story, one tapestry we weave, one journey, one glory, one legacy we leave. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you pray. All of life is holy ground. Can you feel the holy ground? Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground.
As we prepare to continue, not only is it Shabbat and the New Year, but by definition it is also Rosh Chodesh. the beginning of the new month, the new moon. You got it? Good. And so, that explains a little bit why it is as dark as it is, because on the Jewish calendar, the new moon comes at the beginning of the month, which is tonight. And so we have a blessing for this new moon.
Praised are you, eternal one, our God, ruler of the universe, all time and space, who created the skies with the divine word and all the heavens' hosts with a breath, who gave them all appointed times and roles so that they never missed their cues, doing their creator's bidding with gladness and joy. You are the true creator who acts faithfully, who tells the moon to renew itself. It is a beautiful crown for the people carried by God from birth, who will likewise be renewed in the future, in order to proclaim the beauty of their Creator. For the sake of your glorious majesty, praised are you, Eternal One, who renews new moons.
Amen.
May it be your will, God, my God, and God of my ancestors, that the coming month bring us peace
Gedolah.
Yasha Koach.
With that, the new moon has been sighted and announced. The new year can begin. Page 10 and 11, we bless this Sabbath and this New Year holiday with the lighting of candles.
Creation's brightest light, the mystics say, was hidden at the dawn of time. But on this sacred night, this night of hope and joy, a glimmer of that light is here. In candles' flames, in children's eyes, in eyes aglow with the wisdom's light. It shines in the faces of the ones we love, in grateful hearts, in tears of loss. It lives in memories of goodness and in our own desire to do right, to try again, to build anew, to ask forgiveness and make peace. We enter this new year and look upon the beauty of these lights. So may the days of awe renew the light within us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Shabbat and this festival. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us to this time.
Bruce.
Here he comes.
Ready for my source of blessing, I can hear it. There's no cable on it?
Not tonight. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You bring us here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You keep us here. Shehechianu.
You keep us alive,
V'kimanu.
sustaining our lives.
V'higianu lazman
Helping us reach this
hazeh.
day.
Shehechianu.
Keep us alive,
V'kimanu.
sustaining our lives.
V'higianu lazman Ata Adonai,
Holy One of
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Your presence fills creation.
You bring us here. Baruch atah
Holy
Adonai,
One of
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Your presence fills creation.
You keep us here. Shechianu,
You keep us alive,
Kimanu,
sustaining our lives.
Vehigianu lazman hazu,
Helping us reach this day.
Shechianu,
Keep us alive,
Kimanu,
sustaining our lives.
Vehigianu lazman hazu.
It is traditional at this moment, when we are still warming to our prayers for the new year, for the spiritual leader, the rabbi of the community, to stand before the open ark, to make his own supplication on behalf of the community and acknowledge his own shortcomings. Now I would like to invite all of us to stand physically and spiritually as we are able, as the ark is opened. And as the ark opens, instead of my standing before it tonight, it is as if I am inside the ark and we are opening to the world in this new year. Hineni he'ani mima'as, v'nifrash v'nifchad mipachad yoshev tehilot Yisrael. Here I am, I say before you, playing on the word that Abraham uttered so often in response to your call, O God. The word that let you know that he not only heard you, but was ready to serve, to fulfill whatever request you would make, confident even before he heard his task. The word that begins the traditional confession of the prayer leader on these high holy days. Each year I stand before you and before my community, my congregation, my family, and my world, your world. And these words teach me anew of true humility and awe, with their simple eloquence and honesty, their truth about how powerful you are and how questionable are my merits. So poor in deeds, I tremble in fear, overwhelmed and apprehensive before you, to whom Israel sings praise. Despite this truth that once I could not admit aloud before others, lest they come to think less of me and lose faith in you, O God, because I gave them reason to doubt me. Despite the teaching of your rabbis almost 2,000 years ago, that I do not need to live up to the example of Abraham's Hineni, but rather that I, like all the rest of your creation, will be judged in the end on whether I was the best Rabbi Steve that I could be. Although unworthy of even that, I rise to pray and seek favor for your people Israel and this congregation, who have entrusted me with this most awesome and holy task. Despite my doubts, the too many examples I have left for them and for you, that others are surely more fit for this task. For this task is so challenging, so overwhelming even in the best of times. But this year, O God, as I stand before you in a familiar, if not the usual location, to recite well-rehearsed words, I must admit that my Hineni is a poor parody of Abraham's, or even of the best that I might have mustered. In this moment, in a world in which violence and hate continue, in too many places, in too many ways, both blatant and subtle, a world in which the evidence mounts daily of how we have failed to keep even your first commandment to Adam and Eve, to be good stewards and caretakers of the world around us, which you have created, into which you have placed us. a world in which we struggle to know what is true and what is false, what is right and what is wrong, amidst the noise and the fog of the bombardment of data. I stand before you and ask of myself the same question that you called out to Adam and Eve in the garden as they hid from you. The same implied question when you called Abraham by name. Where am I? Not just a physical question, but this year metaphysical as well. Over so many arcs containing Sifrei Torah that bear your word, our people have written, Da lifnei miata omed, know before whom you stand. On this night it feels as if that is the only thing that I do know for sure, that I stand before you. Even outdoors, in your celestial sanctuary, there are still those in my community whom I only reach through the unseen molecules floating through the air, in a test of faith even Abraham did not know. There are doubts in my mind as I age unescapably, and our community evolves gracefully, if not always gratefully. It was hard to reach this night with the changing realities, the challenges we faced on the way to be sure exactly where we stand in this moment. But here we are, and here I am. And we all pray that you are here with us as well. And so with less confidence in myself than I would hope for in this moment, but with far greater hope and faith in you, because these are all I have to offer, I pour out my prayer to you for myself and on my congregation's behalf. God of Abraham and Sarah, Rebekah and Isaac, Rachel and Leah and Jacob, and the 100 generations connecting them to us. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Eternal One, merciful and gracious, God who inspires awe. May Israel's strife and misfortunes be turned into joy, to renewed life and peace. May it be your will that my prayer reach your presence for the sake of the righteous and the blameless, the honest and pure of heart, for the sake of your glory. O hear all of our prayers on these days with compassion. Baruch atah shomea tefillah. Praised are you, the one who hears prayer. And we continue on page 19 with the declaration of the new year. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, yehi ratzon shenizkeh levirchotecha b'shanat chameshet alafim shva me'ot shmonim ve'arba. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in this new year 5784. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us as your creation stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. As the ark closes, you may be seated. Pages 22 and 23. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. Bless Adonai, who spins day into dusk. With wisdom watch the dawn gates open. With understanding let time and seasons come and go. With awe perceive the stars in lawful orbit. Morning dawns, evening darkens, darkness and light yielding one to the other, yet each distinguished and unique. Marvel at life, strive to know its ways. Seek wisdom and truth, the gateways to life's mysteries. Wondrous indeed is the evening twilight. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk. Blessed are you, eternal, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has sanctified us by commandments and commanded us regarding the reading of the Shema, to declare God's reign with a whole heart, to declare God one with a good and willing heart, to worship God with a good and willing spirit.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel. Adonai is our God. Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee on this day shall be upon thy heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. And thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hands, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house and upon thy gates, that ye may remember and do all of my commandments and be holy unto your God. For I am the Lord thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt to be God to thee. I am the Lord thy God. We continue on page 33. You have stayed long enough in this place, God said. Time to go forward. Turn your face to the future. Believe that you can cross this sea and survive. Inside you is a Moses. Within you, Miriam dances unafraid. Lift up your voice and sing a new song. Witnesses to this heroic might, the people thanked and praised God by name, freely accepting the reign of heaven. Then Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang to you this song of utter joy. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, eternal power, the one who redeemed Israel. Darkness settles slowly across the horizon. The new year rises before us, its fragile moon awaiting our embrace. Heaven and earth entwine in their annual dance of recreation. A fissure appears in the firmament tonight, an entranceway into new beginnings. Out beyond the swales, the sea expands and contracts, keeping time to the thrumming of the universe. Under this Rosh Hashanah sky, the path before us is certain. All we can do is hold each other tight as we make our way home. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim, blessed one. You spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem.
Gary?
Is he doing Vishonu?
Uh-huh.
Gary's right behind me.
You need to come up.
There he is.
I don't know if you were aware, but you're singing this one. Yes. Welcome.
I would just like to say, I understand that this is a piece that we have had fun with for many years in our congregation. I just want to remind everybody that although it is Shabbat and we will be singing Vishamru, I would ask that you be respectful that it is also Rosh Hashanah. Hit it. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael
Et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם.
Vishamru
בני ישראל, את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם.
Beini uvein, Bnei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam,
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם.
Vishamru
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים, את הארץ,
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם.
Rabbi.
וביום השביעי, וביום השביעי, שבת ויהי נפש. שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. Which concludes the first part of our worship and brings us to page 42 in our preparation for the tefillah. The words of our prayers must not fall off our lips like dead leaves in the autumn. They must rise instead like birds out of the heart into the vast expanse of eternity, Once again, I invite you to rise physically and spiritually as you're able as we prepare now for the tefillah.
Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agite Ilatecha. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agite Ilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo B'ahava, Zochrenu L'chaim, Melech Hafetz B'chaim, V'chodvenu B'sefer HaChaim, V'chodvenu B'sefer HaChaim, L'mancha Elohim Chaim, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magin, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Magin Abraham V'ezrat Sarah.
Amen.
Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Nechai HaKol, Atah Rav L'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Michamocha El HaRachamim, Zocher Yitzurach L'chaim Berachamim, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Mechayeh HaKol.
Amen.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yehallelucha
Selah. Please remain standing as we continue on page 52. You and you alone, Adonai, will reign over creation upon Mount Zion, home of your presence, and in Jerusalem, a city set apart by you. As the psalmist believed, Adonai will reign eternally. Your God, Zion, for all generations. Hallelujah. Join with me. You are holy. Your name is awe. There is nothing divine beyond you. As the prophet Isaiah taught, the source of all might is exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh. Blessed are you, Adonai, holy sovereign. You may be seated. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, ya'aleh v'yavo v'yagia, v'yira'eh v'yiratzeh, v'yishama v'yipaked v'yizacher, zichronenu ufikdonenu. Join with me at the bottom of page 54, our God and God of the generations before us. May a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness. Together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel, may we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace, on this day of remembrance. Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo l'tovah. Eternal our God, remember us. Ufokdeinu vo livracha, be mindful of us. V'hoshienu vo l'chaim, and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Together, favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. We continue on page 58. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, ritzei v'imnuchatenu kadshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chalkenu b'toratecha. God who is ours and God of our fathers and mothers, may our rest on this Shabbat bring you pleasure. Lead us to holiness through your mitzvot, and may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. Together, you bestow such goodness. Teach us to be satisfied and to know the joy of your salvation. Let your holy Shabbat be our heritage, embraced freely and with love. And may all our people bring holiness to your name by resting on this day. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart, for you are a faithful God whose truth stands forever. Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh haShabbat v'Yisrael v'yom hazikaron. Eternal our God, your people yearns for your favor. Receive our prayer with loving acceptance, and may you always desire your people's worship. Divine One, close to all who call upon you, bring your grace and presence near to those who serve you. Pour forth your Spirit on us, and may our eyes see your merciful return to Zion together. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shchinato l'Tzion. Blessed are you, whose divine presence is felt again in Zion. Modim anachnu lach, sha'atahu Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu leolam va'ed. We continue together, God who is ours, God of all generations. To you we are grateful forever. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night, we call you goodness, for your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limit. We call you hope, now and for all time. And for all these gifts, God of majesty, may your name come to be blessed and praised, our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. Inscribe us your covenant partners for a life of goodness, and may all life resound with gratitude and faith and praise of your name. God, you free us and you strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise.
Shalom, Rav Yisrael, Tasim leolam.
Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh HaShalom. You are the Blessed One, eternal source of Shalom. We pray silently. We turn our thoughts now to those in our community, our families, our world, who on this night of new beginnings, on this night of such physical beauty around us, find ourselves in need of God's healing in all of its forms. Healing of body, healing of soul, healing of spirit, healing of might and mind. We ask God to take note of us all, those whose need is obvious and those whose need may not be so obvious. We turn to each other in support and strength, perhaps offering if we feel strong, perhaps looking for support if we need it. I invite you all to rise physically and spiritually as you are able and as the mood strikes you, as we sing our hope for God's healing on this night, the Misha Berach.
Beating like the wings of a raven flying empty, heart will sing the only song it knows. And breathing in your breath of life, the dove will circle gently, leading to the healing path she chose. And I will reach out to you, help me find my own song, source of strength, Misha Berach. Avotenu v'imotenu, sing to me from where you are. Imotenu ve'avotenu, loving arms. Mishabera, be a blessing. Amen. Sailing on the water was a way to make us stronger, testing our resilience every day. And walking on the burning sand, the endless days seem longer than our strength to let you guide us on our way. And I will reach out to you, help me find my own song, a source of strength. Mishabera, Avotenu, Vemotenu, sing to me from where you are. Imotenu, Ve'avotenu, hold me in your loving arms. Mishabera, be a blessing. Amen. Mishabera, be a blessing. Amen. Amen.
Please be seated. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Happy New Year. We have made it through another year of highs and lows, challenges and opportunities, good times and bad, loss and growth. And friends, that alone is a good reason to celebrate tonight. But what exactly do we celebrate tonight? This becomes a surprisingly complicated question to answer. The several times that Torah mentions the first day of the 7th month that is called Tishri, all of them call this day Yom Zikaron Teruah, the day for recalling the sounding of the horn. And not just any horn sound, you should know. Not the Tekiah Gedolah we heard earlier to announce the new moon, but of all the later calls for the shofar. Teruah is that short staccato set of blasts, the one that sounds like something is broken. But those texts tell us nothing else about the day or why we celebrate. In the Mishnah, the rabbis taught that there are 4 New Years each year on the Jewish calendar, because the 2 we recognize aren't difficult enough. And this truth is in fact the first teaching in the rabbinic laws for this day now called Rosh Hashanah. And in the Talmudic discussion of this text, later rabbis debated whether the year really started in the spring or the fall, and then added the 5th New Year of Simchat Torah. The rabbis elevated both Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur to a position of prime importance amongst all the Jewish observances of the year, filled it with traditions and prayers that reinforced their adaptations of Judaism to their changing reality. The annual cycle of Torah readings they codified later connected the story of Abraham's attempt to sacrifice Isaac to this day of Rosh Hashanah. Perhaps because the ram offered in place of Isaac got caught by a horn in the bush, so that the ram's horn shofar, or the horn of a car, became more than just the maker of required sounds, but a powerful symbol of the season itself. And no, that wasn't me playing with my car horn. Thus, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur were forever linked together going forward, all the way back in Talmudic times. And by the 13th century, Rabbi Amnon of Mainz in Germany gave us the challenging prayer text Unatana Tokef, whose best known and most challenging section begins on Rosh Hashanah it is written, on Yom Kippur it is sealed, making clear that the linkage of these two holy days had already become centrally accepted and absolutely complete. And there are many scholars who believe that this text is even older than the 13th century. And at roughly the same time, Maimonides gave us the great description of the sounding of the shofar, at least on Rosh Hashanah, as a form of spiritual alarm clock, waking us up to the work of teshuvah, strengthening the linkage of the shofar even on Rosh Hashanah with our efforts to be inscribed for another year of life on Yom Kippur. So no wonder that we call these the 10 days of atonement, and we connect these days with crazy glue, Jewish crazy glue of tradition. But also by the 9th century, in the oldest known Jewish prayer book, the ritual sounding of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah was already followed immediately by the liturgical poem that gives rise to our mood for tonight's celebration, and that you will hear over and over again tonight and tomorrow. Hayom Harat Olam, which is usually translated as "This is the day of the world's birth." Happy birthday, world. Let's celebrate. But that's not what Rosh Hashanah had become. Because sadly, with the linkage of the two holidays in the 10 days of awe or atonement, we Jews seem to have lost the sense of hope and joy that we would otherwise expect at a New Year's celebration or at a birthday party. While it's easy to understand how and why this happened historically, and many of us, at least from a sense of the familiar, find comfort in the consistency of the tone of this period year after year, the truth is that we Jews have gotten it out of balance. And in the process, I fear that we've lost a needed and valuable opportunity to be joyous together on this Rosh Hashanah. And it was with that in mind that Rosh Hashanah under the stars came into being. And so I don't have to do it later. Let me pause for a second, turn to my left, your right, look at my friend, my teacher, my partner in crime up here on the bima, Felicia Snyder. Those of you who know and love her well know the last thing she would ever volunteer to do would be to sing outdoors on a night like this. But it was Felicia who came up with this idea to help bring our community together in joy after we struggled during those 3 years of COVID. The greatest faith statement that you and I made in probably all our time together came during those high holiday services those years, when we offered the same prayers we do year after year, not to a packed house in front of us, but with the faith that you all were at the other end of the broadcast, joining in, singing along because we couldn't hear you, paying attention. And I know she wanted, and I agreed, to hear all of our voices together again, to see us celebrating. That's why we're out here tonight.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you. Because especially post-COVID, and I have to ask, are we there yet? Not apparently so, completely anyway. We wanted to shake things up to help those who still on this night harbor fear and doubt, to find the courage to come back physically to the community, to do so joyously, and by doing it outdoors, to do it as safely as possible. Now, it took a little longer than we had hoped or planned, in large part because the weather did not cooperate with us last year in the worst possible way, threatening so that we had to go in and then not paying off on the threat. So we were stuck inside. But here we are, and yes, I put a question mark on the page just in case. Now I can make it an exclamation point. Here we are. Yes. And by the way, thank you for feeling free enough to applaud in the middle of my sermon on Rosh Hashanah evening. It tells me, number one, that you're listening. Because if you thought that the act of faith during COVID was we couldn't see and hear them, right now with the books closed and all of you listening, for all I know, you all left. So thank you for that affirmation. And thank you for getting into the spirit of this night that says, just because we think we've done it this way all along doesn't mean we have to keep doing it that way. So thank you. It wasn't planned, but it was perfect. As we discovered 2 weeks ago at Shapiknik, and we will double down on in 2 weeks from now during Sukkot, the truth is that being outdoors together here on our property without the physical wall separating us from the world around us is not only freeing to the body and the soul, but darn it, it's fun. It makes finding the joy to celebrate on this night that much easier, even after all these years of atrophy. And it allows it to percolate through all that we do, even on such a solemn night as Rosh Hashanah has become, and by the way, still is. Because something else happens when we come outdoors together in prayer, whatever our identified themes or goals may be. Being out here changes our focus in ways both expected and unexpected. Because the setting is less organized, we give ourselves and each other the permission to be less formal, to let ourselves enjoy the moment, distracted by the world around us even in the dark during the evening. It also removes artificial limits on our potential for growth, hope, and joy. And not only does this allow us to be influenced by more than just the words and the melodies and the choreography of our worship practiced over the years, but just as we have taught our little ones and they in turn teach the rest of us with their hand motions during Shema, which is why I made sure to do it after we sang it, being able to more deeply hear and see the world around us provides us with a profound sense of awe, if only we are open to it and aware that it's out there. In the words of Psalm 8, as adopted by Rabbi Les Bronstein, when I behold the sky, when the work of thy hand, God, meets my eyes, the moon and the stars make me sigh, what am I? What are we to the stars in the sky? As with all things in life, this awesome realization can work in differing directions depending on our comfort with it. It could, if we let it, intimidate us in fear, as the spies of the biblical text were intimidated by the size of the inhabitants of the promised land that they saw. And that fear can limit our ability to act or respond positively, as it too often does. Or we can go the other way. The beauty of that truth and that awe, in the recognition of the God behind it all, as Abraham taught us, can motivate us to joy and great heights. As Rabbi Joe Black sings, where is God? Whenever we let God in. And tonight, I don't know if I'm the only one who feels it. I hope I'm not. This is the night, this is the time and the place to let God in as we celebrate God's birthing of this world and placing us in it. As we celebrate the start of a new year, who better to celebrate with in hope and joy for the year than God? Even if ultimately it really is in our hands whether we will be intimidated to be in God's presence or uplifted and empowered by it. But either way, tonight, we are in God's presence as our New Year's season begins tonight. Now, sure, 10 days from now, back on the other side of this wall in our more familiar sanctuary, we will stand together before that same God in the much more intimidating role, as the liturgy tells us, of being judge and arbiter, counsel and witness over all of our lives for the coming year and beyond, each of us praying to be inscribed for a good year, but that's 10 days from now. So for now, friends, let us benefit from seeing God in a different, more positive and joyful light as we prepare for and anticipate next week. At this season of self-inventory and atonement seeking, in which we seek the courage to embrace radical honesty about ourselves, especially our shortcomings, we could use that extra help that God provides, couldn't we? And if we've done our homework well in reaching this day and preparing for it, then it may already be becoming clear for some of us that our all too human tendency to be intimidated when uplift is available is not just seen in our relationship and interaction with God, but in fact, many of the sins that we seek atonement for are things that we did not do when we could have or should have, often because we were scared of the effort that would be needed on our part, convinced that our one little voice could not achieve much, instead of finding the strength in God's presence with us in such a moment, or worse, not feeling God's presence with us in that moment at all. So yes, friends, in the end, I suspect that this departure from our usual mood and decorum on this Rosh Hashanah night might just actually help us to gain a better sense of balance at this season, and in the process empower us to do more than we thought we could, give us the courage and the strength to admit where we have come up short in the past, and seek to do better in the future, to make up for the hurts our failings may have caused to others. At the very least, given the world around us that we left behind for a few hours tonight, by entering God's unseen but deeply felt presence, by feeling the joy here in God's creation, this return to what I believe was the original tone for this day probably can't do us any worse than what we've tried before. And it's been a lot more fun. So my prayer tonight is that we embrace the joy that the arrival of 5,784 brings with it. The hope for new beginnings and successful relaunching in the new year, the opportunity to learn from the past and then move forward from it into the new year on better paths. Embrace, please, symbolically, if not physically, depending on their comfort level and yours, your fellow family members, neighbors, and friends as our new year begins tonight, if you haven't already been doing so. And even if one of your Rosh Hashanah resolutions is, as is the case for me, to eat better and more mindfully in the coming year, give yourself permission at the end of the service to go inside the building, to grab at least a small piece of our birthday cake for the world, provided again this year by the women of Temple Solel. And for those of us who must take care of what we put into our bodies, and cake isn't it, do not let that be an excuse to skip the fun. Find something else yummy to enjoy in celebration. And for those of you at home, you got the whole fridge to choose from. And do it as a small way to symbolically and tastefully carry the sweetness of our new year with us from this place and time back out there into the big bad world. May it be a year of sweetness and joy, health and happiness, prosperity, growth, and safety for us all. But most of all, may it be a year in which we not only see the joy whenever we can, a year in which we feel the presence of God, the God who birthed the world that we celebrate tonight, the God who placed us in it wherever we can. And so, as I conclude my words tonight, I invite you all to rise once again, physically and spiritually as you're able, for these powerful and uplifting words of our tradition that in their own way bring us the joy and comfort of the familiar, the majesty of God, Avinu Malkeinu, on page 77 in our prayer books. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will.
Amen.
Amen.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, tovim, Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu.
We turn back to page 75 and we remain standing. We haven't forgotten Avinu Malkeinu. Though we've overthrown kings and we disobey fathers and we have no great liking for absolute power. Akiva stood before you in a time of drought. His words went up like a flame on the altar. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our ruler. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion for us. He was humble and forgiving, so his prayer was answered. Together, tonight we speak again in a time of drought. Dry ground beneath us, no water, only rock. Not a hunger for bread or a thirst for water, but hearts that are longing to hear God's voice. For the sea of faith is all but gone. The tide's gone out on the empty beach. The world mocks our hopes, and life tests our courage. Why do the wicked live on and prosper? Why are you silent when they prey on the innocent? And if your dominion is kindness and justice, why is creation in so much pain? Avinu Malkeinu, sustain our souls. Send rain to our roots. Help us find a way to pray. Make us humble and forgiving of ourselves and one another. Avinu Malkeinu, renew these words. Help us speak them with conviction and believe their truth. 100 generations have stood before the ark, and they lifted up their voices like flame on the altar, and they put their trust in kindness and justice, and they gave their strength to make the promise real. Avinu Malkeinu, we haven't forgotten. Avinu Malkeinu, bring us back to you. And we continue on page 78 as we prepare for the Kiddush for the Shabbat evening.
Lift this cup for the year that is gone, for mountaintop moments and the taste of joy. Celebrations shared, milestones met, all we've mastered and achieved since last we met. For wedding rings, tears, and kisses under the chuppah, new babies' first words and first steps. For the children who bless our homes and bring life to our community, for B'nai Mitzvah and confirmands, young teachers of this holy congregation, ours to cherish and guide with love, for beloved wives and husbands, sisters and brothers, for loyal friends who grow more precious with each passing year, for this community which nourishes us all, for all we've learned, for all we've struggled through, for challenges surmounted and disappointments met with courage, for last moments shared with those we loved and lost, for parents and grandparents whose memories are with us forever. We lift this cup for the year that is gone. For the year that begins, may we meet it in strength, in unity, in hope. We lift life's cup and celebrate survival. So may we sanctify each day that is ours.
You may be seated. It is now my privilege to invite forward for words of greeting and a few brief announcements our congregational president and sound engineer extraordinaire, Scott Heckinger.
Amen.
Amen.
I was trying to find a different hat so I could put it on. I did change, though, into something respectable from where you could see me at any rate. To keep us from being here for another hour and a half, I will not thank everyone involved by name for tonight, but there was a lot of work that went into everything that you saw here. So at least to everybody on the Bima-ish, thank you. And the tech crew and the Temple Solel. I said I wasn't going to name them by name, so I'm going to stop now. All right, so tomorrow morning we will start at 9:30 on Sunday. We will start at 10, if I remember correctly. If you did not hear Rabbi, after services or after we're done here in the next couple minutes, you can climb into the back. There will be cake and apples and honey and other things that are being supplied by the women of Temple Solel. And as a final note, after you've gotten your cake and you're feeling nice and relaxed, don't forget that it took us 3 hours to set up here, but if like 10 of you stay afterwards, it'll take us 20 minutes before we can go home. So if there's anyone willing to stay and offer a hand, that would be tremendously appreciated.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. Felicia said she's going to have to do it all by herself if you guys don't help, so.
That'll be the day.
Yeah. Anyway, so Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova, and I look forward to seeing you all in the morning.
So let's take it home from here as once again we rise and turn to page 82 for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula v'yotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'yagor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch.
Page 84. And so, Adonai, our God, we look to you, hoping soon to behold the splendor of your power revealed, a world free of idolatry and false gods, a world growing more perfect through divine governance, a world in which all human beings make known your name, while those who do evil turn toward you.
Ayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
These things I know, how the living go on living and how the dead go on living with us, so that in a forest even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through the cracks, and the trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it, and in the spring the rabbits find it and build their nest inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature or in love. On this night of new beginnings, our thoughts turn to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days, at this season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and our world, wherever grief touches the human family. Zichronam livracha. May all of their memories be a blessing in this new year and always. On page 90, those of us who mourn, those who support the mourners, those who remember the ones who have no one else left to remember them. We all join our voices together in praise of God. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitador v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchateh b'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us all say,
Amen.
Amen. You may be seated, and I invite you to turn your attention to the screen for the words of our closing song mentioned earlier, Hayom Harat Olam. This is the day of the world's birth. Our God and God of all generations before us, may it be your will in the coming year to grant us a year of abundance and atonement, a year of blessings bestowed and received, a year of community and compassion, of delight and exaltation, a year of enlightenment, a year of friendship and forgiveness, a year of going up in gladness to the land of Israel, a year of health and healing and humor, a year of inner strength and well-being, a year of joy and Jewish celebration, a year of knowledge and learning for its own sake, a year of love between parents and children, friends and spouses, brothers and sisters, a year of mitzvot and moments of sweetness, a year of nature protected and enjoyed, a year of optimism and hope, a year of peace pursued with perseverance, a year of quiet and tranquility, of the rain in its season, a year of song and spiritual growth, a year of Torah study and tikkun olam, a year of understanding and unity, a year of vows fulfilled and violence overcome, a year of wisdom acquired and shared, a year of coexistence among the families of the earth, a year of young and old reaching out to one another, a year of Zion aglow with light for us and all the world. Our God and God of the generations before us, grant us a year of gratitude to you for the most profound of blessings, your gift of life. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, shetchadesh aleinu shana tova u'metuka. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year. May we be the sound of the shofar, awakening the world to what the new year can bring. L'shana tova tikatevu v'techat mehu. May we all be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Amen. Shana tova and Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shana tova.